I'm with Kelly Lorencz, Lieutenant for Western Canada for the PPC party. My name's KJ Jensen with the Western Patriot. So Kelly, what does a regional lieutenant do in the PPC?
Well, right now what we do is we work with Maxime directly. Our main responsibility is to get out into our various areas and meet with our members out in the community, meet with our associations, meet with our candidates, and basically just help move things along and help grow our party.
Okay. What attracted you to join the PPC back when you joined?
Well, you know what, the PPC, really, when I formed the PPC, it met my values, my personal values, my family values, everything. The way the world was going right now, or the way the Conservative Party itself was going right now, or at that point, I needed to find something different, something that was more in line with what I believed in, and something that I could stand behind, especially as a country. And when Maxime brought this party out, for me, it was a very simple choice.
Mm-hmm. Were you involved with the Conservatives before you joined the PPC?
I wasn't actually involved in the party itself. I voted Conservative my whole life. I decided to get directly involved with Maxime because I knew that there was a new party, and I firmly believe that unless you want to be governed by somebody who is involved in politics, and I choose not to be, then I may not like the way that person's governing for me,
right.
And so I need to make a difference.
Yeah. Why do you think the PPC is the only party that doesn't suck?
You know what? We're defending Canadian values, traditional Canadian values. We really are the party that stands for Canadians. We want to put Canada and Canadians first, and I think in a time where, as a country, we're so lost, we need somebody to step up and actually put Canada and Canadians first, whether that's employment, or clean drinking water, or spending money that just really services the needs of Canada and Canadians, and allows us to be the country that we all know that we can be.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest enemy right now is? Apathy or cynicism?
Oh, it's hard to say. At times you think that sometimes it can be a mixture of both, to be honest with you. I think what I think right now, our biggest fear or our biggest concern right now, our biggest enemy is fear. Mm-hmm. Uses that fear against us, and we as a country, everything that we've done so far is based off an emotion, which is fear. And we need to find the courage to recognize that our mistakes. We need to find the courage to make a change with those mistakes that we've made. And we need to create a country that's both tolerant and respectful of all Canadians, no matter where we are.
What's your favorite PPC policy, or what's the one that really stood out to you when you were researching the start of when you joined?
You know what? I'm a little bit biased when it comes to the PPC policy right now because I am the co-writer of the Veterans Policy platform. So obviously, being a veteran myself, veterans are very dear to me. We've sacrificed an awful lot for this country, and right now, we need to take care of those who took a stand for us to enjoy the rights and freedoms that we currently have today.
Right.
One of the things. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that in 2000, I think it was 2018 or early 2019, every member of the House of Commons stood up in a vote that supported getting homeless veterans off of the streets and taking care of our veterans. And to date, they've failed. They've not done that. They've not done anything to address that, and they've not done anything to contribute to achieving that goal. So it was all virtue signaling, and it's all, you know, telling Canadians what they want to hear. And, you know, I personally believe that we need to stop that. And we can't be afraid anymore to deal with the tough questions and answer those questions.
Right. It's also kind of ironic that the Liberals with their gun control are the ones that have bodyguards around them with automatic weapons all the time. It's like,
well, you know what? When it comes to firearms, it's a misunderstanding of the firearms. I mean, the PPC's policy platform on that is very, very clear. Mm-hmm. Let's you know, restrict firearms based off of their capabilities, not how they look. Right. I'm an avid shooter myself, and you know, when we start encroaching into people's lives as much as we are, especially like the Liberals are doing right now, it becomes very, very dangerous. You know, when they're trying to disarm a society. Right now, the legislation that is in place in order to get a firearm restricted or non-restricted, you have to go through extensive background checks to begin with.
Right.
And you know, my background, as you may or may not know, I've spent about 12 years in federal corrections, mm-hmm. working maximum security down to minimum security. And I can tell you that I never met one offender in the prison system that was in jail for using their personal firearm in their crimes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hypocritical of this government to begin with. You know, these steps were originally created or started by Bill Blair, who was the Minister of Public Safety at the time in 2019. He was the police chief of Toronto. And at that time, I think it was 98.7% of all illegal firearms were coming through Toronto. So kind of hypocritical when you're the Minister of Public Safety and this is the sort of the regulations or the laws that you want to, you know, enforce on law-abiding citizens, and yet you can't even stem the flow of, you know, illegal firearms coming through your own city. There's something wrong there. Yeah,
it's also, especially JT, I don't want to say his name. He's the biggest, they call him now the biggest gun salesman of the year. But it's also his thing to go in, America and Canada both have a problem with gun violence. No, we don't. We never have. We don't. School shootings. We don't have school shootings. And like, maybe if you want to be American, you go there. They kick your butt out in 10 seconds for him. You wouldn't last 5 seconds, but it's just really annoying. And
one of the biggest problems that we have when it comes to you know, they're going to use the statistics, right, for violent gun crimes and everything associated with that. But what people aren't aware of is when these statistics are actually created, a firearm that's found in the house, whether the firearm is used in the crime or not, is counted as part of that statistic, right? Yeah. So of course you're going to have elevated statistics, and because those elevated statistics are flawed, it's going to support your narrative, right?
Yeah, I probably imagine that also if the gun gets fired and nobody gets injured, it's counted too. I imagine the stats are really biased, obviously, right?
Completely and totally biased, because it's the way we report it through the Criminal Code of Canada, the way we report it through the criminal justice system, right? That creates, you know, like you say, a biased stat. And based off of, like I said, based off of my experience, I've never dealt with an offender inside the prison system that is there for a crime of using their own firearms. I've met lots that have used swords, knives, you know, but or illegal firearms, but never their own legal firearm.
Or they stole somebody's or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's your next 6 months look like?
Oh, next 6 months. Well, this week I just got back from BC. The weekend prior to that, I was in Winnipeg. I'm actually in Saskatchewan right now. From Saskatchewan, I'm heading back to Alberta, where I actually get to fly. I'm flying to Ottawa to March.
So they've agreed that there's no mandates, right?
Yeah, they've lifted the restrictions now. So the only thing that's required to fly is you need to wear a mask.
Right.
So I'll wear one of those plastic face shields that you can still see my face like I've always done.
Yeah.
But there's no more, after June 20th, there's no more requirement for the swabbing or the vaccine or anything else like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fly to Ottawa, where I'm going to meet James and I'll be marching into Ottawa.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming up right away.
The last 160 kilometers. Yeah. So, and then from there, with any luck, Maxime will be out for July, and Maxime and I will be on the road probably for 2 months, month and a half, maybe at that time, traveling through BC, Alberta, and then hopefully, well, he may want a break after that because it's a lot of driving we can fly some places, but there's still a lot of driving involved. He'll take a break and then come back and we'll finish off Western Canada. And then we're planning a few other things, a few surprises for the people that support the PPC, our members, and for our candidates. So I'm looking forward to it.
Back to James Top. I know I met him when he came to Calgary 2 months ago. They stole him away when he went to near in the south, and they drove him up, and then he took a day off on a Saturday. So
yeah, he was down in Lethbridge.
Yeah, in Lethbridge. How do you know him, and can you explain a little bit about it to maybe some of our viewers who haven't heard?
You know what? I actually learned about James marching across Canada, probably like everybody else. And I felt it was important for me as a fellow veteran, as a fellow airborne veteran and fellow PPCLI veteran, to go down and meet with him and talk with him and show him my support. I've met with James probably, I would say, 4 times on his march so far in various parts of the country. And I probably talk to James, I would say, at least once a week now, just to get updates on where he's at and what he needs, and learn about how I can support him even further. It was at that point where him and I had the discussion about myself joining him on the march from our base. We had a mutual base in Petawawa, Ontario. That's where the airborne was. Yeah. So we're going to meet in Petawawa, and we're going to march from Petawawa into Ottawa.
And Maxine's supposed to join, I heard, right?
Maxime is supposed to join us on the last day, from what I understand, or maybe the day before. But I think I think he wants to do 30 kilometers. I think he's going to march in with us the last day, which is good. It will, like I said in my video statement that I released, real leadership, doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And, so Maxime's going to come out and, we'll let him walk for a bit, but I'll even hand him my rucksack for a bit. And, if he wants to get the real veteran experience.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, I'm hoping to have about 1,000 veterans marching into Canada, into Ottawa on Canada Day with us. So it should be quite impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I know that PPC, the Conservatives now are saying freedom in this and freedom that, but don't seem to ever really did anything when it mattered. I know Maxime actually was one of the only, I think he was the only leader who stood up and got arrested for not obeying by stupid COVID rules that didn't make sense. That's what attracted me to the PPC myself. So for people who love freedom, pro-freedom people, which is basically what PPC means, how can freedom-loving Canadians help support the freedom cause like the PPC does? What are practical ways that some who want to can help out?
You know what? When you look at the PPC, we're attracting to so many different elements of Canadian society right now. The NDP, the Green Party. When you look at the PPC, what are they? Well, we're conservative. We're populist. we're also a libertarian, right? So we actually draw a lot of that from many Canadians, and that's why this freedom movement has been so successful. If people want to get involved, get a hold of your local association, volunteer. If you can't volunteer and you don't have time and you want to donate some money to your local candidate. Come election time, I highly encourage everybody, especially because right now everybody believes, especially with what happened down in the United States, that our elections could be fraudulent. So if you really truly believe that, volunteer with the PPC candidate in your area, help scrutinize. Let's ensure, together that this vote, and it's going to be in a very important vote, is done fairly and honestly.
Maxine's, I just reported on this month in June for the newspaper, the Western Patriot. Maxine, from what I understand, joined Brian Peckford in the travel lawsuit against the federal government. I'm guessing that's still going to happen even though the mandates are relaxed. I'm supposing, right?
I think it needs to move forward because I think we need to have one of the unfortunate aspects of those documents is they're not very clear, right? So I think those lawsuits need to move forward. I think they need to be heard in front of the Supreme Court, and I think that needs to be solidified as to it needs to be enshrined in law that these rights and freedoms do exist for Canadians, so we don't have to go through what we just went through the last 2 years.
Right. Do you think, let's go back to basics here. I always ask get to know the real Kelly. What's your favorite movie?
You know what? I actually don't watch a whole lot of TV or anything. I just started watching, I watched that, I think it's called 1881 with Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Really love that. Sam Elliott and Tim McGraw. I'm a big, I like my war movies. I'm a veteran. I mean, so I do watch those quite a bit. I tend to do, well, you know what? Honestly, the last 4 years, I tend to do a lot more working than I do watching TV or anything else. I read policy, I read provincial policies, I get involved, and I'm trying to help make a difference, right? So with myself, like I say, I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, when I'm at home, the TV isn't on. And I would say 10 times out of 10, when I'm driving down the road, I'm thinking about work and my radio doesn't even go on.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I'm like anybody else. Every now and then I like that downtime, and I usually turn to my music more than I do watching TV. So if you usually find me, I usually have when I do have my music going, it's probably pretty loud, and I'm probably having a ball just singing away, or I think you might have even saw one of my messages on Facebook or Twitter. I don't remember where it was, but I learned that I was the world's worst singer because I'm just singing away. But it's fun and it's relaxing and it takes your mind off of everything. So,
what's your favorite band then?
Oh, you know what? I listen to everything. Literally, I listen to country music. I listen to heavy metal. I listen to classical. I listen to opera. It's really depending on my mood, and I've got I think in both my vehicles I've got a multiple disc player, and it'll go from Def Leppard to Tim McGraw to Andre Bocelli to back to probably Ozzy Osbourne or something, right? Yeah. So it really, I love everything because music for me is driven by the soul, if that makes any sense, right? It's a way to relax. It's a way to just forget, but it's also a way to just smile and enjoy some time.
Do you think the last 2 years since COVID was a spiritual battle as well as every other kind of battle?
Oh, you know what? It's been a battle of everything. Right from 2019, when I first started with Maxime in Calgary Nose Hill, I've always said that, you know, we're moving away from family and community, and we need to find a way to um, get back to family and community. I know that this government has interfered a lot in church and religion,
Mhm.
and you know, but in one breath, I disagree with that, but in the other breath, I have to say, you know what, we don't want government involvement in our church and religion, so we can't make this, you know, especially this movement specifically about that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've seen a lot of evil around the world in the jobs that I've done, and you know, it becomes second nature to see it. Like one of the things that I describe in my speech that I give is that the behaviors being exhibited by our government, and I'm saying all of our government is predatory behavior, and predators keep people in fear, and that fear is what is the emotion that causes the separation between families and community. And we need to find the courage to say no more. We need to find the courage to say enough, and we need to find the courage to support the ones that we love in both our family and our community.
Yeah. This is just another question. I know that in Alberta there is movements of Alberta separating, and I know that the PPC doesn't agree with them on that stance. What are the main factors of that stance that they have, that they wouldn't want to see Alberta separate?
You know what? It's the impossibility under the Clarity Act that, you know, that people need to really understand what's involved with that makes it impossible for Alberta to separate from Canada. It's a losing battle, and quite honestly, it's an emotionally based response, and that's anger.
Mm-hmm.
If people that are supporting, you know, Alberta independence or Western Canadian independence, what they need to recognize is that the PPC, Maxime Bernier and the PPC, want a, you know, decentralization of government. We want smaller government. We want the provinces to have autonomy from Ottawa, which is what people are already asking for.
Okay.
So that, you know, so allow the provinces to run their provinces the way they need to, and we'll run the country with less involvement from the government.
So it's yeah, I guess it kind of solves the problem for all Canadians, not all the provinces, not just Alberta as well.
All provinces. Yeah. You know what? When you decentralize government, you make smaller government, and you help the provinces that need help, and you know, and show them how to get up on their feet and then move forward with under their, you know, their own natural resources or what have you. And then it becomes a win-win situation for everybody. And I think that if people understand what the PPC really wants for Canada, especially in that autonomous relationship with the provinces with Ottawa, that's a win-win situation for everybody, mm-hmm. especially those that want to become, you know, that are supporting that independence movement.
With the Liberals and NDP joining, seeming like they're being scrutinized much more deservedly, and the Conservatives seem to be gaining strength, like the Conservatives. Do you feel that there'll be more NDP and Liberals joining, being fed up and joining the PPC, or Conservatives switching?
You know what? I think what we're going to see is, I think we're going to see some Liberals. We've had a fair amount of Liberals already join the PPC. We're going to see a lot more NDP, like you said, and the Green people supporting the PPC. The Conservatives were not so concerned about what's going to happen with the Conservatives if they just join the PPC. The leadership race itself will dictate to us how that's going to play out. Where we're focused on right now is the PPC, is we're focused on that disgruntled voter, that person that just doesn't want to vote anymore or hasn't voted and is looking for a place to land. And that's where we're focused on right now. I don't believe, and I know Maxime would say the same thing, right now, the PPC isn't interested in forming government. We are interested in forming we want the balance of power. We want the balance of power for Western Canada, because with the PPC having that balance of power, that's almost like your insurance policy that things are going to be done fairly and equally, across Canada.
Yeah, I noticed that they did their darndest to keep Max out of the September election, federal election debate, which was kind of heartbreaking. And it seems like he didn't have 5%. It was a rule they made. Did they make up a rule, or is that the rules they like to make up on the spot? Why he wasn't involved in the debate?
Well, I think you need to look at who the chairperson is for the debates itself.
Yeah.
David Johnson also sits on the board of governors for the Trudeau Foundation.
Of course.
So, come on, that you can't tell me that's coincidence.
Yeah.
At this point right now, it sounds like Max will be in the next leadership debate. Of course, unless they move the goalposts again. But that's where with Max bringing out these lieutenants is really going to help us get that message out.
Right.
And that's one of our key roles, right, is to help get that message out and build that brand.
Yeah. With Bill C-11, is Max involved in any lawsuits against that? I haven't stayed current on that myself.
I don't think so, not yet. You know what? I know he's had a couple going. I don't know where he would be at with that one. I don't think he's got any lawsuits currently.
Yeah.
But he might. Who knows? Canada as a whole is at a precipice in that we need to start recognizing the mistakes that we've made, both provincially and federally. And once we acknowledge those mistakes, we got to have the courage to say, okay, we can't do this anymore. Canada is at a point right now where we can't afford to make any more mistakes, because if we do, we're in a lot of trouble. I've asked conservatives the same question. Andrew Scheer didn't beat Trudeau, mm-hmm. and you had an excuse. Erin O'Toole didn't beat Trudeau, and you had an excuse. We were that excuse. Whomever wins the next leadership race, if they don't beat Trudeau, then what excuse are you going to use then?
No.
We can't afford another excuse.
No.
At the very minimum, like I said, run with the leadership race that you have, but we need to make sure that the People's Party of Canada holds that balance of power. That's our insurance policy. It has to be.
Yeah. Is the PPC in Quebec? I haven't stayed current on how are they doing, like, is Max doing okay in Quebec, or is the Bloc Québécois kind of interfere with the message, I'd say?
From what I understand, listening and talking to the Quebec lieutenant, mm-hmm. Max is actually growing in Quebec, which is great.
Yeah.
I know that we're starting to get a lot more support. When you can get 15 to 20 busloads of people coming to Ottawa for a protest, that's significant.
Yeah.
So Max's message is starting to grow, which is important. But again, like I said, it's probably at this point right now, it's probably more important, and I think Max would acknowledge this as well, is that the West holds that balance of power.
Yeah. So the basic plan is, I heard rumblings before that Max may, when the next election comes, may decide to come and move to a location in the West and really saturate the area to try to get a seat. Is that still current?
You know what, Max, I don't know what Max's intentions are, because Max has his own family, of course, and that's something he's got to consider.
Yeah.
Max is Max is going to do whatever it takes in order for him to be elected into a position, as we all do. Does that mean out west here? It might. I honestly, I don't have that answer.
Yeah, yeah. Because he started at the party's only 2018 when it started.
Yeah,
like that's so fresh.
We're a new party.
Yeah.
I mean, in all intents and purposes, for where we're at, considering how short of a lifespan we have,
yeah.
we're growing so fast, and that's that's a testament to not only Maxime, but it's also a testament to our policy platforms and the position that we're taking and standing up for Canadians.
Yeah. Do you think that people don't know too much about the PPC rather than disagree with some of the stands and policies? Is that kind of the major hurdle that we have?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, people still don't know who or what the PPC are or what we stand for. We have to do a better job of getting our people out and talking to our members, talking to the public and letting them know, being very, very vocal about what we stand for. I know I'm doing everything that I can to attend debates from, well, my area of responsibility goes from Thunder Bay, Ontario to Vancouver Island, all the way up to the Yukon and all of the Northwest Territories. And I'm doing everything that I can to have debates in all of those areas or support candidates in those areas for debates in order to get that messaging out.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of keep things really light, to be honest. Only a few minutes left here.
Sure.
So with the, it was kind of amazing to see the whole freedom convoy unfold, and now the government debating it and being under the magnifying glass with kind of seems like an empty hand. Do you think that was do you think that will be a landmark cause of how the country turns around?
No, because right now there's not, just because the committee meets and they're investigated we don't have the support in the House to make any effective changes. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right now, with that unholy coalition between the NDP and the Liberals, anything that's found within these committees is essentially going to be ineffective. And I believe that the Liberals know it. What we need to do, or what we need to start having, and we're seeing it now, is the Liberals are tanking in their own polling. Yeah. And Liberal members, or the people that normally would support the Liberals, have had enough of these games. They're recognizing as to where we're going, and we can find a balance maybe in moving forward. But again, I'm a firm believer that we need that insurance policy of the PPC being that balance of power.
Yeah, because it's even amazing seeing Doug Ford sweeping Ontario pretty hard.
That shocked me.
And that's probably, I mean, I don't like the guy personally, but that's better than, I don't know. Seems like they didn't get hardly any seats, the Liberals or the NDP. So
that's the biggest question, right? I mean, you got to look at 1982, prior to 1982, and Trudeau Sr. signing the Constitution. There was what was called the Gang of Eight, eight premiers that were fighting Trudeau Sr. on the Constitution.
Yeah.
And once the Constitution was signed, my question is, we've had conservative like Doug Ford and Jason Kenney, and we've had all of these subsequent conservative premiers. Why didn't they take advantage of the Constitution after that was signed? Why didn't they immediately we wouldn't be in this position now had they done that. Yeah. Now, again, the PPC is the only party that's willing to give those rights to the provinces. But it should have been done a long time ago. Yeah,
they don't act like Kenny didn't act. He flip-flopped so much, and they tried to play the game. And when I interviewed Brian Peckford, we were both wearing our hats too. Our PPC hats. So if the guy who wrote our Constitution or Canadian Bill of Rights is a PPC member, I think I said that's good enough for me. So,
well, and the thing, that's exactly right. And at the end of the day, You need conservative leaderships to actually be conservative, which they're not. They're all following an agenda. And unfortunately, that agenda is to the detriment of Canadians.
Yeah, it's the globalist agenda is quite evil.
Exactly.
It's I don't have no idea what people who would support it are thinking. It's just it's just always kind of a sleight of hand and sending money somewhere else when you have veterans that don't get cared for. We have Native people that don't get cared for. We have homeless people like crazy that don't get cared for. Now we're in a country where they decriminalized hard drugs, but you need a vaccine to go to different places to fly or to even to leave the country. It's insane.
It's completely insane. And this is why, we, as a People's Party, we're never afraid to have the discussion. Even if we don't like the topic, let's have the debate and let's decide.
Yeah.
Let's represent Canadians and ask those tough questions. But like I said, I worked in the prison system for about, I can't remember, 12, 13 years, whatever it was. And the ironic thing is, if an inmate assaults an officer, gets bodily fluid all over an officer, that inmate doesn't have to disclose their medical history to the officer. The officer has to go get treated for absolutely everything. But yet, if I wanted to go work out or if I wanted to go to a restaurant or whatever, I've got to show my pass.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
I've said from day one, you have to go to McDonald's and show them your papers to sit down and get a Happy Meal.
Yeah.
That Happy Meal will never taste that good to me. I mean,
I would rather McDonald's show me what's in their, what the ingredients are in their products than, you know what I mean? That's probably worse than the vaccine.
That's worse than the vaccine. Well, thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, no problem.
It was a nice interview. I'm going to put it on the Western Patriot YouTube channel and the article for probably July or August. But have a good time in Ottawa.
I appreciate that.
Try to stay out of trouble. And it's hard to do these days.
I might get arrested when I walk in. Who knows?
Who knows? But give James Top our best from everybody here in PPC Calgary chapter and Western chapter, and say hi to Max. And
absolutely.
Thank you very much for the interview and for your time.
Yeah, no worries. Look for Max coming here. He'll be here for Stampede.
Yeah, I think probably early. Stampede's about 3 weeks from now.
Stampede is from the 7th to the 18th.
Yeah, I think we're putting up a barbecue.
Yeah, well, I don't have firm dates yet when Max is coming, but as soon as I know, you guys will know.
Yeah, and we'll have a good old fashioned. I've never met him, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we look forward to bringing him out, and hopefully we have a great time.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right, thank you.